Hey, what's going on, everybody? Raging Phoenix here. So, today I'm going to be playing the Necromancer's Tale for the first time. Um, as you can see, this is the demo version, so there is going to be some content missing. Like, you'll even see, like, as the story goes on, it'll say, like, there's some things, like, unavailable because this is the demo version. But the reason I wanted to try this game is because it being about necromancers, I thought that might be interesting to see because every time when I play anything that's like fantasy like, I always am like interested in necromancers because just like raising the dead always seems to be like a cool concept that I enjoy in games like this. So yeah, today we're going to be playing this game, and this game is actually supposed to be like very story rich, as you will see as the video progresses. Usually I'm not drawn to single player story rich games because one of the reasons is because I read kind of slow. So when there's like a lot of text on the screen, it just takes me so long to read through all of it, and it just kind of makes me not want to play the game anymore. But usually when like there's just like a lot of cutscenes, or as you will see with this game, it's almost like you're reading an audiobook. Stuff like that I actually really enjoy. Like I can get behind something that tells me the story, but if I have to read the story, that's when it kind of like, I don't really want to play it. So, but so far this game's actually really cool, and to a point, it's almost like an interactive storybook the way it starts off. But for today, I'm only doing chapter one, so this is pretty much like setting up your character, setting the story, like just getting the game all like set in stone. So if you guys want to see me continue with any of the other chapters that are available in the demo, which is just chapters 2 and 3, let me know in the comments down below. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to be going through chapter 1, and you're not really going to hear me talk through most of the rest of this video, but you will, like, of course, like hear like the narrator of the story and everything, like reading the story. So if you guys do want to check this game out or wish list it on Steam, I will leave a link in the description down below, and I'll talk to you guys later.
In the year of our Lord, 1701, the Republic of Venice went to war with the sovereign monarchy of Ralston. This war was over passage rights through the Adriatic Sea, though this point will rarely be brought up when the war is discussed by future historians. It was, like most wars, overstretched and too costly. Neither side could afford it, nor would they back down. Many lives were lost, and whatever the outcome, each nation would nurse its wounds for some time. The war raged on for 6 years, draining both countries' resources, but the Republic of Venice was older than Ralston and had deeper pockets. In a war of attrition, they would win, and both sides knew it. 3 generals from Ralston, 2 brothers and a close friend, came together to strategize, and came up with nothing. They would not win this war. In desperation, one reached out to a dark power and was told to make pilgrimage to Golgotha. With no other avenue, they spent 1 month sailing to the walls of Jerusalem, where they docked under cover of darkness. On the hill where the man named Jesus died, they met a figure, too old to identify as man or woman. It offered them a book, an already ancient thing made of pale leathers and filled with symbols that hurt their eyes to look upon. The thing smiled as they took it, a smile made of too many teeth. Full of dread for what they had seen and what they were about to do, they sailed for another month to get home. Things had gone badly in the time they were away. Soon they would have to surrender, and Ralston would fall into decline, one it was unlikely to survive. Whatever doubt the men had about using the knowledge in that book, their mind was set now. They cast its pages open and chanted dark incantations. And lo, did the dead walk upon the earth that night. Undead sailors hauled themselves into the Venetian boats. Soldiers dragged themselves from battlefields and clawed up from shallow graves to drive the Venetians from the land. The war was won. The Venetians could not fight Ralston's impossible numbers. They surrendered, the book was shut, and the dead were dead once more. The book was destroyed, but the world had noticed. Ralston had dark magic, and no shame in using it. Many enemies, without and within, were born that day. 1711. 3 years later, a child was born to one of the generals involved in unleashing the spell. A beautiful baby boy. The night you were born, a blood moon hung low in the sky. Shepherds took their flocks in, and old women lit candles in windows to ward off such an ill omen. You were born into wealth and status, and had all you could wish for. But your parents never had another child, and your father was often preoccupied with his work. Your mother, distant, sickly and delirious, you heard another mother say. Hoffman, the family steward, raised you more than they. It was a lonely childhood. 1718. You are 8 years old. You play with friends from school, 2 poorer boys, Diedrich and Flip. Your father disapproves. You play in the graveyard outside the city. Nobody goes there without an armed guard. But children do not care for such things. Children are small and fast, and can outrun Ghoul, at least when the sun is up. One day, as you play, you hear a rustling coming from some trees. You all freeze. Then a stone whizzes out of the green and hits you on the head. You stare in disbelief, a slow trickle of blood running down your face, partially blocking sight from your left eye. A group of other children from the city emerge from the tree line. You recognize their leader, a boy named Willard. "You shouldn't be here," he calls out. "It's against the rules." He punches the palm of his hand. "This is for your own good." pick up a stick and stand your ground. "You don't tell me what to do!" There were more of them, and they swarmed you. But you broke Willard's nose in the midst of it all, which you felt satisfied with. You weren't sure if it was the broken nose or that they got whatever anger they had towards you out of their system, but they left you alone after that. That night, you are woken by a scratching sound at your window. You lift yourself up on one arm and rub your eyes with the other. The scratching sound turns to a chipping one, and a moment later there is a muffled sound of glass breaking. A thin black arm reaches in then and unlatches the window. You know that arm, that kind of arm. A ghoul. You scream as it pulls the window open and pulls itself into the room. You've never been so close to one. Its face is like a man's, but gaunt and twisted into a sorrowful, angry expression. It lands on the floor of your room with a sickening thud, and as it stands, it ripples and twists in unnatural ways. You scramble away from it, hot tears streaming down your face as you continue to scream, your throat already sore. The door behind you swings open. Your father steps in. As he looks at the creature, his face is expressionless. He enters the room, sword in hand, and feints to the left. As it lunges, he sidesteps to the right and slices downwards. The gore that sprays from the thing as it falls flicks onto your face. Your father looks down at you for a moment, then nods and leaves to make sure there are no others. You never play in the graveyard again. 1721. One morning, your mother comes to your school. She takes you out, even though classes are not finished. She says everything is okay, but you do not believe her. Her presence alone is the warning. Your mother never comes to your school. When you were too young to go alone, Hoffman brought you. Now you travel alone. She has never come here. She brings you around the town. First you stop to buy sugared apples. Then she takes you shopping. New clothes, new books, new toys, a luggage trunk. She brings you to the castle, and with some whispered words and coins exchanged, the guard lets you into the grounds. You go to the pond and throw bread and watch fish pop their heads up to steal from the ducks. You walk the city walls, and the two of you take in the view. The sea to the west, the hills to the south, the forest to the east and north, and beyond the northern tree line, the road that leads to the capital. "That," she tells you through teary eyes, "is where you're going. You won't understand until you're older. Maybe not even then. You need more than I can give you, more than I can be." You protest. She cries. When she stops crying, she doesn't remember where you are, how you got there. A watchman brings you home. There your father glares at you, angry that you upset your mother, angry at your non-compliance. Hoffman brings you to your room to help you put your new clothes and books and toys into your new trunk. He tells you that she loves you, that this is for the best. A few days later, your carriage rides out of town. In your children's stories, events like this happen on rainy days, but today is sunny and clear-skied. As the carriage crests a hill, you can look back towards the city and see it all. The farms, the walls, the groves, the castle, the seas. Your home. How do you feel as you are taken away? I don't understand what I did wrong for them to send me away like this. I wonder, will I ever understand? 1722. A year has passed. More quickly than you might have expected. Winter's first snow falls lightly outside. You watch from your dorm and reflect on your time here. You are thankful for the library here. Books have been your salvation. You look at the collection of books scattered around you now. Buried under them are the books your mother bought you over a year ago. You have read them many times. You miss her. 1725. Your schooling is done now. Your time here is over. You spent much of this year deciding what to do next. One of your professors said she saw something in you, a spark that would see you well in the world of courtly intrigue. This sounds exciting to you, and well paid too, so they put you in touch with a contact of theirs to begin your training. "1727. You are nearly 2 years into your training now, and it goes largely as expected. You miss home, but the pangs grow less as time passes. Your mentor, an older lady named Valentina Zupan, takes you to the Scottish courts to watch the burning of a witch. The woman is accused of fornication with the devil, but Valentina says that the only crime this woman, and women burned like her, committed was striving for knowledge, studying the natural world and trying to understand it. Valentina wants you to see how other countries treat people who they cannot understand, how they treat knowledge they cannot fathom. She tells you then that a war has broken out at home. A lich, a powerful undead sorcerer, has begun raising the dead and marches on the capital. So far its armies show no sign of moving out of Ralston, but Venetian and Habsburg forces are amassing on their respective borders to repel anything that tries to cross them. Other nations will turn this on us. They will try to turn the Pope on us too, no doubt. They'd see us burned like that witch. This is our job, to slow the tide that comes for us. We shall travel to other courts, seeking help. We will get none. In reality, we're there to find the lips that whisper against us and do what we must to shut them, by deals or blackmail, whatever it takes. You were on a carriage to London that night, on the start of a tour of Europe that would carry on for the next year. Eventually, word reaches you that the Lich has been defeated, that its forces collapsed as the final blow was struck. Your father was at that battle, as was your uncle. You learn your uncle was wounded, but is well. Neither man died, though the same cannot be said for thousands of others in the country. The soldier's work is done now. Our work only gets harder. Venice will want to march in retaliation for 1708. Habsburg will want the land. Several others will want us stomped out for being too liberal. We must keep these wolves at bay while our country rebuilds. 1729. Your training complete, you land your first post. You were thrown to the wolves and sent to the courts of Venice. You never found out why you were sent here, and it has never become clear if this was a punishment or a prestigious assignment. You never see the Doge Alvise III Sebastiano Mocenigo. You never see anyone of note. You spend your days with minor nobles and nameless ambassadors clawing over any attention at all. Nobody asks your opinion or listens when you speak. How does this posting make you feel? (1733). When you learned of your father's death, you were resting in your home. The ringing at the door alarmed you. It was late, too late for visitors. Unlikely an intruder would ring a bell, but nonetheless, you armed yourself. When you opened the door, the young woman must have seen your weapon, perhaps just your expression, and gasped. She apologized for delivering the news so late. The letter hit you hard. You fell to your knees there in the doorway, with that scared young woman, unsure what to say. Now, days later, your carriage crests the hills towards Marnes, the sun blasting off the red and yellow bricks and rippling off the blue sea beyond. You are almost home. Home to see my mother, to support her in this terrible time.